This is the Valencia preview. Joining me today, I've got the legends that are Gaz Drinkwater, we have got David from La Liga Lowdown, and I've also got Dave from Man United Talks. Definitely go check out all of those channels once we are wrapped up here. So the first topic that we are going to talk about then is, of course, Paul Pogba. This weekend in his press conference, Jose Mourinho mentioned that Pogba was definitely going to be playing. Dave, I'm going to come to you first. What does this mean for Pogba? Does it mean that he's been relegated to a second choice player? Does it mean that he's probably not in the plans for Liverpool? What's going on with the relationship with Jose and Pogba at the moment?
I hope it means he's getting back into the fold, but it doesn't look like it, if I'm going to be honest. It's very frustrating because I think I heard Abdullah say in his review after Fulham that it seems like Pogba is kind of being punished having to play with Matic and Fellaini rather than Herrera and Fred, which is just a joke, to be honest. But looks like he's in the rotation, so yeah.
Gaz, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a good thing that Pogba's getting the opportunity like this, or does it? Because to me, it does feel like he's been kind of relegated to this spot.
Paul Pogba's the best midfielder we have at the club. That's a fact, and it's why it makes it even more frustrating, some of the performances that he's put in this season. And you know what? He's got a lot of excuses for the performances, like you were saying then about what Abdullah said about the players playing around him and the system that we play. However, I really think that Paul Pogba needs to take them excuses out of his head a little bit now and just think, I should have a higher personal standard rather than, caring what the manager thinks about my performance. I need to be happy with my performance. And you're going to hear something now, the first time anyone's ever compared these two players, but at times this season, Paul Pogba going forward has reminded me of Phil Jones defending. Because Phil Jones, hear me out here, Phil Jones is a decent defender when he's working instinctively. When he doesn't have time to think about what he's actually about to do, he's brilliant. If it's a last-ditch challenge or a last-ditch clearance, he's great. It's when he's dilly-dallying and he's got time to think about the interception he's about to make. That's when he usually changes his mind, ends up doing the wrong thing, can't make his mind up on what he's doing, and ends up making a mistake and falling over or something stupid. Paul Pogba, we've seen do similar things this season where he's got the ball, you can tell exactly what he wants to do with it. He's instantly got it out his feet, and then all of a sudden he's changed his mind, then he's changed his mind again, he's dilly-dallied on the ball, and he's lost it. So it's the first time you'll see those two players compared to each other. But Paul Pogba just needs to be less like Phil Jones.
I think apart from the last few games, Pogba's had a decent enough season. Southampton was awful, to be honest.
Paul Pogba's better than this, though. Paul Pogba is... There's not one game this season where I've come away and going, wow, he's a world-class player.
Even the ones where he got man of the match?
Player. No, yeah. Mate, Matic got man of the match the other week on BT Sport, and he's crap.
Yeah, that was awarded by Steve McManaman, so we can just wipe that from the record straight away and put that opinion right in the bin. David, what's your opinion? What's going on with Paul Pogba and Jose Mourinho at the moment?
Yeah, look, I think you're right. I think he is getting relegated to a second string. There's not much riding on this game, is there? United are through. Yes, there's potentially top spot up for grabs, but we don't think that's going to happen. I think that it is affected by who is around him. That's true. He does need to be freed up. But if you think about it, the fact that he's not even coming on as third sub and McTominay's coming on instead against Fulham, the one game where he might actually have the freedom to play because Fulham just leak goals at the back and they're so porous. I really think that it is starting to get really not just strained, but more than awkward with Pogba. Now, I think this is an opportunity. He's got to see it this way, where he knows he's starting. Is that a backhanded compliment by Jose saying, you're starting, but essentially it's because it's a nothing game. But if he can produce one of those brilliant performances in a tough venue like Mestalla, Valencia haven't got anything to play for either, but they are under pressure there, and we'll talk about more about that later. But I think this is an opportunity for him to put a case forward for Liverpool, but I do just feel it's a bit more rotation.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Has Pogba been relegated to third or fourth choice midfielder, or is this Jose utilising his squad? Because let's be honest, it's not something that he does very often, is it? Right then, let's talk about Europe. Gary, we are in the hat, in the draw for the next round. Do you want to see us progress as Champions League group stage winners of the world, or would you be happy enough just... Obviously, it's out of our hands anyway. We need the young boys to get a result against Juventus, and nobody's holding their breath for that. Where do you think United can end up with the Champions League this year? Is it far too early for us to tell?
It's really weird, isn't it, this game? Because it feels like the situation that we've got ourselves in the league, it feels like every game's a final almost. So it's now weird going into one that really doesn't matter too much. Obviously, I'd like to see us win the group, but it's probably not going to happen. I imagine Juventus are going to smash them. So, look, I've
what
said
Juventus
this before.
Do?
They're going to smash them.
Who are they going to smash?
They're going to smash the other team, who I won't name because it'll get me in trouble if I say it on camera. But yeah, where was I? Yeah, I think that I think that we can obviously get far in the competition. Like, as I've said in the past, worse teams have won the Champions League, and if you remember under the David Moyes season, shut up, Baba. If you remember under the David Moyes season, that game against Bayern, I thought that we could have gone quite far there, and that was our worst season in modern memory. So that could have gone either way, that game, and you never know where we're going to go in this competition. But if you think back to last year and you think back to that team that he put out against Sevilla in a must-win game, it doesn't harbour a lot of hope, does it, for this year? We're not good enough to beat the teams at the top anyway. We're going to require a bit of luck.
Dave, do you agree with that? Are we just see where we end up, or do you think there's actually a real consensus? I've seen some people going, should we just go win the Champions League? Like, that's something that we've never thought of before. Like, oh, what a top idea that is. Just win it.
I completely agree with Gaz, because we have such a good selection, and then as David mentioned earlier, we sub on McTominay instead of Pogba, and it's upsetting. So I'm ambitious and I'm always confident, so I'm going to say we could possibly make the semi-final because Mourinho is good at knockout games. Is he still good at knockout games? Who knows? But yeah, I just thank God we got out of the group stage at this point.
Jay, I think it's the one thing that Mourinho's got left in his locker: the fact that he is supposedly good at two-legged ties in European competition. Managed to get through all of that in the Europa League, didn't he? But that's a completely different kettle of fish. Yeah, but look at who's winning those groups. The likelihood is that Manchester United will finish second in the group. The one that you maybe want to face is Porto, and everyone else is very, very difficult. Atletico, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern, etc. I think quarterfinals at best, because I just think the atmosphere around the club will eventually be a greater factor, and especially with Pogba, than it is his skill at dealing with knockout football.
Unfortunately, I think you're probably going to be right.
And can I say that if we are, I know obviously at Man United we're all about winning trophies, and anything apart from winning isn't good enough for us. But if we were to get to the quarterfinals, or probably semi-finals more like, of the Champions League this season, I think you've got to look back at that campaign itself as a success in the Champions League. Obviously, the league's not going to be anywhere near where it should be, but I think that we'd be quite happy with a decent Champions League run, even if we don't win it.
I don't know about happy. I think content. There's happy is a bit. Anyway.
I like the Champions League, man. I like going far in it, though. So, and even if you don't win it, I think you enjoy the journey. So,
David, what's the Valencia attitude to the Thursday night club? Because it's not really something that we're digging. To be honest, it is treated quite derisively in England. What's the attitude really like with Valencia fans?
Look, I think Valencia are used to being in the Champions League, but then they went 2-3 years without it when they were really in the doldrums. It was, admittedly, the Gary Neville era, and others. Besides, it wasn't just all his fault. Then I think getting back in the Europa League is not a bad sort of level for them to be competing at the moment. It's a team that's a competition that Spanish teams like winning. Sevilla have won it, many times in the past. Yeah, they've got the sort of squad that can cope with this competition probably through last 32 and last 16. I think after that, quarterfinals, then you're going to be facing those teams that have fallen out of the Champions League, who finished third, and as well as themselves. So I think this is the right level for them to be at. And right now, anyway, they've had a tough old season. It's been really quite depressing if you're a Valencia fan. Lots and lots of draws, really not winning much at home. In the last home game, when they only just drew against Sevilla, the club had laid out these flags that were meant to be almost like a tribute in support of Peter Lim, the owner, and Anil Murthy, the president. Instead, they turned into white hankies that were being waved as they only just got a last-minute equaliser because it was poor. And so, yeah, I think it's a slightly toxic atmosphere that's developing at the club too. So maybe what they need is that Thursday night distraction. It could actually work in their favour.
Imagine having a team that doesn't play well at home and has lots of draws.
United should do that. United should start putting flags out for the fans in support of the Glazers and see what happens.
We do not support Gaz's message at FullTimeDEVILS.
Kick off.
Righty, it is a quick ad break. Right, it's predicted 11 time. Day, I'm going to go with you first. Give us the 11 that you think is going to see. But before we get into that, I'm going to quickly tell you about what's going down in the race to be the number one predictor of 11. So we've got a few people in the mixer here. Gaz, you are on 8.3 with 3 appearances. I'm on 8.2 with 11 appearances. I've ended up with a League Cup one on here, which I think is absolutely atrocious. It shouldn't count. Yeah, can we exclude the League Cup, please?
To be fair, this is a non-game, so this shouldn't count either, I don't think.
But it's the Champions League, Gaz, so you can't talk like that, and that's why I'm happy I'm not giving a team in this particular one. We have got Mo Butt with 9.3 from 3 appearances. Dale is on 9.2 from 5 appearances. Jigsport Dave's also on 9 from 3 appearances, and we got Jay Marty propping it up there with 6 from just 1 appearance, which is shocking. Scott is on 6.5 from 4 appearances. Absolutely shocking. David, last time you was on, you got 11. 8 out of 11, which isn't.
I was going to say, did I get 11? I don't think I got 11.
That was a lie. Right, Dave, do you want to go with your predicted 11, please, and see if you can fall somewhere near the top of this table? You got no chance.
Okay, let's see. I'm going with Dave in net. De Gea, the greatest keeper, last 5 years in the world. Back four of Delo, Jones, Rojo, and Shaw. I don't know how likely that is, but midfield, I've just got to say, I've got a vendetta now against Nemanja Matic. I will not put him in an 11 until he is dropped. But it's probably going to cost me points, so I'm sorry. I got Herrera, Mata, and Pogba in the midfield 3. Wishful thinking. And I got Lingard, Lukaku, and Rashford as my front 3.
Interesting. Gaz, do you want to give us your United 11, please?
I think it's quite a similar team, that's the one I've put out. So I've said De Gea in goal, Delo, Jones, Rojo, and Ashley Young along the back 4. So Luke Shaw being the main difference there. In midfield, I have put Matic in there. I'm just desperate for the points at this point. Matic is in my midfield with Herrera and Pogba. And up top, what's the situation with Martial? Is he a doubt?
I think it is a doubt. I don't know what the situation is.
Yeah. It's before his press conference, so we don't know for sure, but apparently he's a doubt. So I'll go Lingard, Mata, Rashford.
This is being recorded before the press conference has happened, so if there's any madness that Jose said, if he gives his full 11 out, we have not heard it, so there you go. David, do you want to give us what you think the Valencia side is going to be?
Yeah, I think there will be a couple of changes. So Neto in goal, that's no different. Daniel Vass has been playing at right back, but I don't think it will be him. I think it will be Christian Bacchini because he hasn't played much, nothing game as we've discussed. I think he will stick with Garay and Gabriel, formerly of Arsenal, in centre back, and then Trezeguet at left back. I think there might be a couple of changes in midfield, but you will still have the centre midfield of Coquelin and Parejo, another ex-Arsenal player in Francis Coquelin. I think you'll have Carlos Soler involved, but I think he might change flank. I'm going to put him left side, and I want to see, and this is more of a wish than a real thought here, Ferran Torres. This dude is special. He has played in a couple of games recently. He's played in the Copa del Rey game. He's very, very young, 17, and he's a proper winger. Carlos Soler isn't really, so I reckon that he will be, a very attacking wing on the right-hand side. Might give Ashley Young or Luke Shaw something to think about. And then up front, I'm going to go for Rodrigo and Santi Mina. Santi Mina has been back in the team recently. He's the only one who's scoring. That's the problem with Valencia. We're just not scoring. So
I was going to talk about that with you when we get to the opposition, actually, and see that basically no one's scoring goals, are they? But we'll get on that in a second. What I'm surprised at with the two United teams there is no one's gone with any of the youth them. No one thinks there's going to be any youngsters.
I wouldn't, yeah.
I would like to go on record and say I wouldn't be shocked to see Tahith Chong in this side. Maybe from the start.
Mate, not sure. Not from the start. There is no way.
I want that, but I
maybe
also want the
maybe
points.
don't at me. Maybe don't at me and see what happens.
Look,
luckily, I'm not picking an 11, so I don't get points for it. I also think you're mental if you think De Gea's going to play, because this might be the time that Romero gets to put his gloves on for a change.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah,
no, I'm saying, it's not my first rodeo, gents. Righty, let's get into the opposition. David being the expert on Valencia here. So, not scoring goals. I think the most anyone's scored in the league, at least, is like 2. So, you're struggling with the goals.
Yeah, Santi Mina's got a couple more, but he's been scoring them just only in the last month or so. You're looking at Parejo from free kicks. You're looking at, the guy who scored against Sevilla was a second-choice centre-back called Mukhtar Diakabi, who we signed in the summer for not much, and it needed him to latch onto a free kick from Vallejo and head in. So yeah, I mean, Rodrigo is not the player that he was last season. This is a guy who managed to get into the Spain squad, who was an absolute revelation last season. There's something not quite right with him. We think he's carrying a bit of a niggle, and the same with Gonzalo Guedes. Now, if you cut out those two and Kondogbia, suddenly Valencia don't look half the team that they were with those three in it. Kondogbia is one of those players who can just take the game by the scruff of the neck and completely dominate in midfield. And when I went to Old Trafford, the one battle I was really looking forward to seeing was him against Pogba, the two number 6s. Well, I'm not sure Kondogbia is going to get a look in this time because, again, that's the problem. The first 11 is strong when it's fit. But then when you get a bit deeper into the squad members don't actually, match up to that, the second string. So I think it's been a mixture of injuries and just simply losing that real kind of dynamism we had last year. When we were defending 4-4-2, very, very tough to break down, very compact. I saw it in pre-season before at Bournemouth when they played, and it was amazing to watch. It was this real kind of unit moving around. And then the pace on the transition to come through, that's what made Valencia so difficult to play against. You knew what was coming, and it still scared you. This year, you don't know what's coming, and you're not scared by it. So that's how I sort of, compare this season and last.
It's just the same here, isn't it? We have no idea what's going to turn up, and it's when it does.
I didn't say then you can't score goals. Like, no worries, mate. We can't defend. It's fine.
Day, talk to me about Valencia. Who should we be looking out for? Who's the key players that you're worried about?
Well, last time when they came to Old Trafford, I believe it's pronounced Gonzalo Guedes. He had fun against Valencia, but I mean, if Deleu's going to play, we'll see a real test to see if he can handle him. That would be interesting. And that Torres guy you mentioned, I will tell you, he's very good in career mode. He has great potential. But yeah. That's where I've gone. No, but Valencia sitting 15th. We couldn't beat our own 15th and low placed teams in our own league. So what hope is there? But if we played like we played against Fulham, and we had a pretty decent showing against Arsenal, I think we could definitely grab some points.
I think the fact here is that Valencia are under real pressure at home. Remember that thing they call a pañolada, that the handkerchiefs waved at full time. That is such a powerful feeling at the moment. The Valencia fans are really sort of mobilising. They're not happy, not just because of the season, but just overall the ownership and running of the club. It's a really powerful thing, especially Valencia. It's like a magnifying glass. That's times 5, times 10. If United can be in some way expansive and get that first goal, I think that's going to be almost, you could make Valencia collapse just like that. So I think there is a chance here. I'm not backing United to win this, but I think there's a chance that they could make life incredibly difficult.
Gary, what do you know about Valencia?
Mate, it's been 3 years and I'm still pronouncing it Anthony Martial. I am not going to try and pronounce any of those Valencia players' names. It would be horrendously offensive. I'm still pronouncing it Marshall, mate. I'm not going to even try. But usually what I was going to say that it's going to be a difficult atmosphere because that's always what you expect when you go to Valencia. But according to what David's just said, then it could be the complete opposite, and it could actually work in our favour with the toxicity around the club at the moment, but we're of course suffering that problem as well.
Right, Gary, sticking with you, give us your score prediction, and I want your first goal scorer as well.
I'm going to say 2-1 United and Lukaku to score the first goal. No, Mata. I'm changing it. 2-1 United, Mata.
You've got to take your first answer, Gary. I am sorry. Right, Day, give us your score and first goal scorer.
I'm going to be so wrong, but I'm going to say 3-2, and I'm going to say my first goal scorer.
3-2
Lukaku, he needs goals. To United, sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Lukaku, he needs goals. Get a goal.
David, give us your score prediction.
1-1, Santi Mina to score the first, but Mata to equalise because United have a bit of comeback about them. So, yeah, honours even.
Exactly. I can't believe you lot thought United was going to score first. Have you not watched any of our games this season? Apart from last weekend. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks to these guys. Go and give their channels a quick cheeky check out and go and check Gaz out on the radio as well, because he's on the radio in case he's never mentioned that. And if you want to check out our WhatsApp channel, the details of that are in the description, and you want to come and join that, subscribe, like the video, give it a share, and we'll see you after the game. Laters.